Otherwise, I'll have to cut it. And
Mhm.
my computer doesn't like a video editing
Cutting.
programs. Okay, Yekaterin, thank you for letting me know. It's this disease season. We are the ones who suffer a lot, teachers, our throats and voices. Okay, let me just see who is here quickly. I believe people will join us. We had this misunderstanding in the morning with Matthew. He misread the times. Okay. Okay, dear colleagues, I'm happy to see you. Let me greet you again. Once again, I'm sorry that Ekaterina Redkina had to postpone her session till next year, we can say so. That's why I had to think quickly, and I decided to put my session in this slot. Today we'll be talking about learner autonomy. Let me start my presentation. Here it is. So learner autonomy, or sometimes it's called learner independence. Well, doesn't matter. It's all the same. And today we'll be talking about how it can be developed, why it should be developed, and as usual, I'll give you like a little bit of theory and more practical tips how to do this. Before we start talking about learner autonomy, I want you to look at the next slide. Read this statement and let's vote whether you agree with this statement or not.
Agree.
Let's vote on the screen, okay? You can use you can use the annotation tools and put a green tick if you agree. Okay. All right. All right, yeah, I can see that most of you agree with this statement. Who can elaborate? Why is it a lifelong process, learning a language? Anyone? You can have like yourself as an example, right? Are you still learning it? English?
Yeah, I can judge from my own experience. I've been learning English since I was 6, I guess, and I'm still learning. And I've recently passed the CE exam, and I went through a rough patch. I had to overcome a lot of setbacks, and even now, I'm convinced that I'm not as fluent as many other people, and I have a room for improvement. So it's definitely a lifelong process.
Yeah, Lera, thank you very much for sharing your experience. And I totally agree that there is always room for improvement. And besides that, if you stop learning, even if you've reached this top and you can't find any room for improvement, what happens if you stop learning it? Mm-hmm.
I think you will forget the language.
Yeah.
According to my experience at university, I graduated with German and English. And after graduating, I don't use German, and I forgot practically everything.
Yeah, sadly, it is like this. If you don't practice, if you don't use the language, you forget it. So that's why it's a lifelong process. And we should keep this in mind that when our students leave us, they'll still have to be able to learn the language themselves, practice it in real life. Look at these pictures. How are they connected to the notion of lifelong learning? What do you think?
They are directly connected with this because we implement the language in our life, and so the language is the way how we live. So this is, for instance, this applications. So yeah, this is also we choose a language, and these applications which we use to translate, to learn new words, to. Yeah, this is maybe to chat with someone.
Okay, right. Any other ideas?
No, they are the tools that enable us to do this learning, to continue learning without a tutor.
Yeah, that's right. So this is like what I meant. These are the ways that we use to learn a language without a teacher, without a tutor, like self-directed learning. Okay, so here are different ways. We're not going to talk about them. I believe you as language learners know them. You know how to that there now exists like a lot of ways that can help you to keep your language at high level, to allow you to practice outside the classroom. But tell me this, how far is like this state of being an independent learner and helping yourself far like from this picture?
Very far. Because actually we are not taught how to study, how to be independent. So that's why at school teachers do not teach children to study somehow.
Right, true. What vibes do you get when you look at this picture? Well, of course,
be very happy, I think.
Oh, yes, but you know, when you don't know something, you can also feel happy. Of course, this picture is an exaggeration, but I think it illustrates well how dominant teachers can be and how dominant our education used to be when we studied. Now there is a trend that we should aim to less teaching, more learning. So we should put learning into the focus, not teaching. And for this to become possible, right? Here are like some steps, some logical steps. teachers should become less dominant, less responsible for everything that's happening at the lesson. Less dominant teachers, sorry, people keep coming. Less dominant teachers mean more autonomous learners, right? More autonomous learners lead to more responsible learners. So if learners are ready to take control of something, they feel more responsibility for what they are doing. More responsible learners lead to more motivated learners. So if it's my responsibility, then I feel this inner motive to do it better. And more motivated learners, I think it's quite obvious, lead to more effective learning in general. So to cut this path short, we can say that less dominant teachers will lead to more effective learning. This is something like food for thought, right? This is a definition of autonomy, autonomous learning. I really like this definition because it has everything in it. And I highlighted the keywords here. Like, what is autonomy? You know, when you're ready to take control and responsibility for what you learn and how you learn it. Basically, you take control and responsibility of the content that you learn and your learning strategies. What does it mean for us as teachers? So what is this ideal picture? I think it's quite possible to picture yourself a student who is who knows what to study, who knows their needs. Okay, I'm not so good in writing. Yeah, I should practice writing more. In order to do this, I need to read more. Okay, what are my learning strategies? I should read something, keep the record of the new words. I should visit these new words from time to time. So everything, it's clear. But is this state easily reached? No, of course. We as teachers understand what it means, yeah, an autonomous student, because we are to some extent are autonomous students. We had to become these autonomous students, otherwise we won't be able to provide quality teaching to our students. But how it's reached? Yeah, can you reflect on your experience? What did you have to do to move from a dependent student to a less dependent, to more independent state? Or remember your group of adults, for example, how independent they are.
I guess, first of all, you need some tutor who will help you to focus on the basic material, not just to concentrate on something that is really important, and then maybe give you some books to read or some material to analyze.
Okay, a person who will guide you in this.
Somehow guide you, yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts? All right. So what I was trying to say is that learner autonomy is a skill that needs step-by-step developing. And if you think that you can go to your teenage lesson, teenage class lesson with your teenagers and like force them to use their their vocabulary outside the classroom or their dictionaries, okay, or you can like assign reading journals to them and they would do it, well, it's not going to happen. Yeah, we all know this. That's why my idea and my belief is that we have to start from very young age, our young learners. Here I have some characteristic of autonomous learners. So learners, yeah, as we said, autonomous learners feel responsible for their own learning. They have a capacity to set learning goals. They know about their preferable learning styles and strategies, and they can make a conscious choice what suits me best. Can make their own choices in terms of language they use. Have an ability to reflect on and evaluate their learning. And they are able to find sources of target language on their own, yeah, individually, outside the classroom, without relying on a teacher. And they can use the language in real life situations outside the classroom. Here are just some of the characteristics that I think are the most important and that allow us to understand who an autonomous learner is. Based on these characteristics, I grouped some activities that can be used with our young learners in 3 big blocks. And now I'm going to share these activities with you. But if you have some experience in using these activities, if you have something to add in each block, let it be a discussion, okay? Maybe you've already used it and you know that there can be some problems, there can be some issues with it. Just, it's okay. You are encouraged to share your experience and speak, okay? Let's have a look. So the first block here is students play an active role at the lesson. This is very important as passive learners, they can't feel responsibility. They just come to your lesson and they believe that their success depends on you. How well you teach, how good the book is, and so on. Yeah, so they don't feel that they can influence their learning in any way. So we have to make sure that our learners are active participants of our lesson. Here are some ideas. So first of all, we should encourage self-checking. Instead of checking everything by yourself, allow students to self-check. Here's just an example. You can show the answer key. Students look at their homework and they put a plus or a minus. And then they can report back to you, I've got no mistakes. I've got 2 mistakes. So you can start with this basic report, yeah, how many mistakes they've got. And then you can ask them more. In what exercise? Yeah, I've got 2 mistakes in like exercise 2. what is this exercise about? It's about words, spelling. I've got 2 mistakes in spelling. I've got 2 mistakes in past simple irregular verbs. So they start reflecting on their mistakes step by step. You can, like, again, step by step, force these procedures on them. The next is that we should encourage peer checking. Just an example, again, that you can show the answer key and students solve their workbooks, their notebooks, their worksheets, doesn't matter, and check each other. Again, I tell them that they have to put either a plus or a minus, and they are not allowed to correct each other's mistakes. Just checking. Then they swap back, and here comes self-correction. They correct their own work. Or you can choose 2-3 students, depending on the number of your students in your class, of course. You can choose some students, check their homework, and let them check the others. Like, students play the role of teacher. I noticed that they feel really motivated if they can be a teacher at a lesson in some situations. Okay, apart from peer checking, we should think about peer teaching too. It's a bit different. They can check others, but without saying anything. This is what I fight with a lot. I have a group of Prepare 3 students. And when I ask them to check in peers, and at this age, they become so lazy. They sit together and say, A, B, C, C, C. Do you have the same? Yes, I have the same. That's all. Or, no, I don't have the same. Encourage them to explain their choice and persuade their group mates if they have a different answer, they've chosen different option. Encourage them to teach each other. Yeah? Of course, it's not going to happen like from the first time you ask them to do so, but step by step, yeah, they will get used to it. They will get used to this procedure, and you'll see that they become more independent in this. What do you think? What are some difficulties that might arise, or that teachers? What are some doubts of teacher?
You mean peer teaching?
Yeah, peer teaching. Peer checking.
As for peer teaching, they can, as you said, it depends on the students, and they can just refuse or to teach and to explain. Or another reason is that if there is a weak student, they can be shy, and they wouldn't like to show their answers, their notes to their neighbor, so to other students. So this might be the problem, but here depends again on the, not depends. Teacher can help, like doing kind of team building or something, but it's hard process in my opinion, like peer teaching. Depends on the students. As for peer checking, I agree with you that here we can use only plus or minus, like tick or cross, because they become angry. I had this situation when somebody tries to correct, they don't like it. And self-checking and peer checking I use and used, but peer teaching I'm thinking because it depends on the students, and it can be really tricky Thank you.
So I do agree with Liana, as peer teaching might be tricky actually, and probably it should be for theoretically it should be for all kids, but practically it may vary. Actually, your as teachers, you should see your group, of course, but if you understand that it works, so why not implementing it? Like a stronger helps a weaker, not just showing. I always tell my students, not just to show correct answers, but explain your partner why is it correct. So why you have correct, and your partner has something else, and usually it works like step by step, of course, not from the first try, and it's rather time consuming at first, on one hand. On the other hand, in the future, in upcoming future, it's pretty beneficial, as kids learn from each other, and you just manage them and observe. As for peer checking and self-checking, yes, I also use these techniques, and I find them pretty beneficial. I would agree with Karina that low teens are rather lazy. Yeah, they are rather reluctant, and they would say like ABC, agree, yes, no, look at my answers, and that's they are more self-concerned, like, but it's with the time. But as older my students are, I notice that they are really grateful for this self-check-in, so or peer check-in. So because they understand, they do it, they check, they see their mistakes, they say, okay, probably what I say for my students, if it's not homework, for example, revision lesson, I allow them communicate with each other. I can say, okay, if you want, you do it individually. If you want, in pairs, groups, okay, this is your revision. You're allowed to use all the books or dictionaries you have. So just do it, and then probably there was peer checking and peer teaching before the self-checking, when I demonstrate them all the correct answers, and actually it works well. It works better with a bit more concerned kids. So if you grow them the way it is, so that's from younger to a bit more older.
Okay, thank you very much, colleagues, for sharing your experience. I do agree that peer teaching is an extremely hard process and an extremely hard procedure to set. But we have to start it step by step. And even if you see for the first couple of times that your students are not eager to participate, it doesn't mean that you should give up. It means that you should persist on it, and you should help them. Do you know what the easiest step here to take? It's when you have kind of an individual work, students do something individually in their books, and then one of the students asks, what does breathe mean? And you, instead of giving the answer yourself, you ask the class, can you help, please? And they answer, some of them who knows this word, gives like a translation or explanation. Here it doesn't matter, and then you confirm it. Yeah, that's right, good, thank you for your help. And I noticed that even weaker students know some words that others don't know. It just happens, and they can help with spelling. Like, how do you spell it? And some weaker students know how to spell the words. True, too. And at this moment, you praise them, and they start feeling more confident. For example, I have a boy who's quite weak. He's quite lazy, doesn't do his homework, but the life happened that he knows all the irregular verbs. I don't know, maybe he was forced at school to learn them by heart. And he is like our helper with irregular verbs all the time. And he feels confident about this. He feels happy when he can help. Of course, there is a lot of monitoring and analyzing your students, but still, yeah, try it step by step. Some other things here. 3 before me strategy. This is kind of what I've already touched. The main idea here is that you don't give students your help, your support immediately. You allow them to look for guidance, for help, for support in some other sources. You can do it on purpose, like let's imagine a situation that you have a writing lesson and your students write something and they tend to ask you a lot of words that they need in their writing. A lot of language emerges, and what do? We usually like give them words, write them on the board, and they use them. But from time to time, again, encourage them to ask 3 students before they can come to you and ask you. If nobody can help, of course you can help them. Or encourage them to use Google, to use their dictionaries on the phone before they come to you. So here's the idea that you show that you are not the only source of language in this classroom, and they can look for other sources. Classroom jobs are also a way to make students less dependent on the teacher. It also a kind of a motivation for them. So we can have different roles depending on age of the students. Person who light director, not lightning, light director, person who turns off and on the light, a person who hands out your worksheets, a person who distributes glue sticks, and so on. And in this way, they feel again that they can play a more active role at the lesson. Students play a role of a teacher when playing games. This is essential, and especially if you want to reduce your teacher talking time, this is the best way to do it. Delegate the role of a leader in a game to a student. First of all, you show your example, of course. So you play this game for the first time, you are a leader. You provide students with the rules, you provide students with the classroom language or game language that should be used. Then choose a stronger student who can play this role. You know that the student remembers language pretty well, and they can like do it faster. And then you ask other students to join too and play a role of a leader. Okay, the next step is quite ambiguous, but the thing is that we should just avoid giving lectures, avoid again, we should avoid providing the language and the answers ourselves. elicit from the students. So whenever it's possible, we elicit instructions, rules, answers, language, everything that you can get from students, you should try doing it. Here the next step is connected to language presentation. So you can try from time to time implementing less teacher-centered methods like a guided discovery or TBLs or something. Just think about it, yeah, how you present the language. Again, even if you try eliciting a little bit, yeah, okay, you present the structure, you present the form, and then maybe you should ask some CCQC. This is the first step to start with. I'm not talking about like guided discovery in the pure form. Maybe you should start by asking some questions, some awareness raising questions about the form, the structure, the parts of speech, and so on. So the idea is, summing up, we should let students do all the work that they can do. Everything that can be delegated should be delegated to the students, so they understand that they are active participants of the lesson, that they can be in the center of teaching. You are not in the classroom for yourself, you are in the classroom for your students. It's not like your time, it's their time, and you should think about giving up the control and giving up your responsibilities. Not all, of course, but to some extent, to your students. Okay, any comments here, colleagues?
Actually, it's okay for upper levels, yeah, I think, like not eliciting, but a role of a teacher, for example, while playing games, because sometimes it's hard, depending again on the game, probably. Like, but if just to spread the cards, yeah, maybe lower levels can do it.
For example, we play What's Missing game with our students, even with Superminds 1. Yeah, let's imagine this age group. We play this game, and the language there is quite simple. Like, close your eyes, open your eyes. What's missing? This is all the language that the leader should say. Why not? They can do this. Or what else? Memory game. Yeah, there can be. Usually there is no leader in this game, but still teach them like some phrases. It's your turn. You can't do this. It's not a match. It's a match. So some basic phrases. Okay, anyone else here? Any comments? Okay, let's move on to the second block. Okay, everything at once here. The second block is about making decisions. Students should make decisions about their learning, and it's quite difficult. It's difficult for us as teachers to make decisions about our learning. And it's way harder for our students, yeah, to take charge of decision making. It's like for some adults in in life, yeah, in our like day-to-day life, it's hard to make decisions. So it's hard to take charge of making decisions. But again, here are some strategies that we can lead our students to this state, step by step, allowing them to make some choices, some decisions. So the first thing here is you teach students all the ways to record their new language, and then let them choose. It's not you. Okay, let me show you this first. What are the other ways of record keeping of the new language? So they can write definitions, for example. They can write translation, they can draw a picture, they can draw mind maps. Well, there are different ways. And instead of assigning them the way, the method that they should use at home to write down the words, the new words, you allow them to choose. Of course, when you're starting, you should vary these ways in order to teach them. Okay, this time I'm going to ask you to draw pictures. It's good because you have like animals, and it's easy to draw animals. Again, some awareness raising. Then next lesson, ask them to write translation. Not next lesson, next unit. Ask them to write translations, or then ask them to write definitions. Well, if it's level appropriate, of course. So we're not going to ask Superminds 1 to write definitions, but Superminds 3, 4, there can do this. Then ask them to categorize the words, or ask them to draw a mind map of new words. So first of all, we teach what there exists, and then when you know that they mastered all these ways, allow them their own choice. Of course, they will be looking for your decision because it's easier. The moment you say, okay, at home, I want you to write down the new words in your notebooks. How? What should we do? They will ask you. And then you say, whatever you like. You can draw pictures, you can write translation, you can draw a mind map, whatever you like. They will be puzzled probably a little bit because they want you to make a decision for them, but that's okay. Just when you check, pay attention to what strategy they've chosen, and it will give you more information about your students. Okay. Then the next thing that we can do to help developing decision making, give students a choice of classroom activities, even just slightest choice. Like, do you want to do it on Word wall or on paper? Well, you're prepared for both. For you, it doesn't matter. They choose online or on paper. Classroom activities. Do you want to do it in pairs or in groups of 3, like Anna mentioned this, right? It's very good to ask your students. Act out a story or read picture by picture. What do you choose? It looks like very simple choice, but what happens is that students start even unconsciously analyzing what's better for them. The same is with homework. You can give a choice of homework. Do you want your homework in workbook or in practice book? Well, they usually say, oh, I hate practice book. I don't like it. But well, we have the same activities in workbook regarding grammar. Yeah? So allow them to choose. see what happens. Do you want reading or listening for homework? For me, it doesn't matter. I want you to practice receptive skills, either reading or listening. Do you want it online or in paper? Writing, for example, we can ask our prepare, think students, do you want to do it online or in paper? Do you want a project or pages in workbook? Let's vote. You can first vote and then like force everybody to do what the majority has chosen, or again, everybody can choose for themselves. Very similar tool here is the homework posters. So how is it different for just giving an alternative, this or that? Homework posters usually contain more options. For example, you have covered a topic, family, and you want your students to do this final project on this topic. What can be done? Let's brainstorm.
We can ask them either to maybe draw the family tree, either to make a small story about the family.
Okay, super. A family tree, or write a story about their family. What else?
Record a video.
Record a video about their family. What else?
Bring
Write
photo.
and bring a photo. Okay, and be ready to talk about, yes, a kind of a presentation. Write an email to your friend, to your English-speaking friend, telling about your family. Okay. Write a blog, yeah, about it. What else? Okay, quite a lot of options, and you put them on poster. You can use just a paper, an A4 paper, and write or stick post-it notes with different tasks. They come to this poster, and they write their names, what they choose. And next lesson, you check it. This way, you will again allow students to look inside them and to look and to think just a little bit what they like more, writing or speaking. Do they like recording themselves? Yeah. Do they like drawing or not? Some students hate drawing and they are scared of the tasks when you ask them to draw a family tree or to, I don't know, make a collage of people in your family. This is a very nice activity. It differentiates among young learners, and at the same time, it allows learners to think about themselves. Raise students' awareness about an activity type, organization process, and reasons for the activities, or raise students' awareness about the assessment. Again, even with young, it can be done even with young learners. For example, you are doing a listening activity. Ask your students just simple questions. Why do we need listening? What do you think? Why do we need to listen for the second time? Why do we first listen and get the main idea, and then we listen for details? With higher levels, you can ask this question, even with A2 levels who have quite the biggest experience in learning language. For example, Prepare 3 students, they can answer this question. They can attempt to answer these questions. Organization. Why did I ask you to work in pairs? Why did I ask you to work individually? Why are we doing this? So about assessment, again, why do we write this test? Why do we write dictations? So just these simple questions that can set them thinking about what's happening in the classroom. So teaching according students' needs and not according the course book also provides students with opportunity to foster their decision making. For example, you can again ask your students, look guys, we have a pronunciation block in this unit. What do you think? Do we need to do this? Do you feel that your pronunciation is not so good and we need to practice this? And listen to their feedback, what they say. Well, probably when you first ask this question, they will just shrug their shoulders and say, we don't know, I don't know, you decide. But keep asking them, and keep giving them hints. Look at the words. Do you know how to say them? Do you know how to say them correctly? Maybe again with some, I don't know, after reading tasks, after listening tasks, or grammar tasks. Maybe you have a strong group of students, and like you think that they don't need 5 exercises on present continuous. But ask them what they think, how they feel about this. Ask them to look at the task and think about which task can be useful for them. Okay, allow students to work at their own pace. That's also very important. This is the whole topic about fast finishes and slow doers, but just in brief, if you have students who work slowly, try not to hurry them. Allow them time to finish. That's okay. This is how they work. They might be more fluent in speaking, but less fluent in writing. They might be, it might be difficult for them to analyze grammar structures, and they need more time, they take more time doing this. That's okay, just think about what others can do at this moment. So again, here we have to differentiate. Okay, that's it for this blog. Colleagues, any comments from you about any activities? Maybe you've tried something and you can share.
Actually, I tried all of these kind of options, and I have a SM1 student, and so you, Karina, said that sometimes they can be puzzled. So that is very true, and she asks me all the time, so can I use a marker? Can I draw 2, for example, tomatoes, and so on? So yeah, it can be difficult for them, but they evolve their creativity. Yeah.
Yeah, Supermind's one like the most dependent students that you can have. Even very young learners are less dependent. Supermind's one, first graders, well, not just Supermind's one, first graders, they go to school and they have teachers who make decisions for them, you know, who decide how to study. Do you remember this? Отступите 2 клеточки вниз, 2 клеточки от абзаца. All these rules limit their independency. And that's why they bring this to your classes too. But does it really matter whether they use pen or a marker? Well, in some activities, maybe yes, it matters. But if it doesn't matter, then please choose yourself. Choose yourself. You can use pencil, you can use marker. It doesn't matter for me.
Sorry for intervening. I'm sorry. I really want
okay.
to add. Even SEM 5, it's terrible. So this is my student. I've been teaching her. They're pretty independent. I believe. But from time to time they ask, Anna, can we use a pencil to write the test? Of course you can. Choose yourself. Would you like a marker? Would you like a pencil? Would you like a pen? So choose anything that you like and do it, because they are so restricted and limited at school. So that's pencil. It's the most wonderful thing. Pencil. Wow. Yes, please. So even a SEM 5 sometimes, even through many years.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Well, once I've read, I think it's in some blog of a teacher, I don't remember the name, and she was writing that why I should feel more tired after the lesson than my students. My students should feel more tired because they come here to work, they come here to study. Why I feel more tired? And that's absolutely true. When you make all these small decisions for your students, it takes a lot of energy from you. And that's why we need to take this path when we allow students to make more and more decisions about how they do things, what learning strategies they choose. It starts with a pencil, but then it becomes bigger. Yeah, they choose how to learn their words. They choose how to look up a new word and so on. Okay, and the last block.
May I add just a few words?
Yeah, sure.
And I also want to say that it's quite important to show your attitude to this, because students usually, especially if you speak about SM1, they're first graders, they are a little bit worried and all those rules at school. And when you react not like the teachers at school, when you say, oh, that's okay, you have done 2 sentences out of 10, that's great, that's perfect, it's just, wow, that's really good. They, first of all, they are a little bit puzzled and shocked, but then they get used to it and then don't feel worried about this. So it just takes time, and everything depends on your reaction, because they look at you. That's it.
Yeah. No, Katya, thank you for this. For this important idea, thought, yes, comment. Yeah, that's absolutely true. If you show that you're irritated, if you show that you're tired again of this, it won't work for sure. Yeah, it should be only positive attitude from you. Okay. And the last block is called Students Reflect on Their Learning. So reflection is very important in learning and in life in general. Here are just some ideas that we can use. Include reflective questions in every lesson. Reflective questions can be, again, quite simple. It's not I'm not implying that you have to ask your students I don't know, some complex questions that they would not understand, what would be puzzled to answer. Just some simple questions like about homework. for example. Was your homework easy or difficult? Easy. Why? And they tell you, 1 page. Or easy, words are easy. Grammar is difficult. Or listening, I don't understand. Or after the lesson, did you like our lesson? Yes. What did you like the most? Did you like our listening activity? Or, for example, you prepared an unusual lesson when it was more focused on CLIL, for example. Yeah, a CLIL lesson. And you ask, did you like this lesson? Do you like CLIL? You're not probably going to give them this term, but do you like talking about different subjects in English? Or do you like studying grammar? Do you like speaking about life situations, or do you like reading text? Just it can be some alternative questions where they have just to vote or give their opinion. But then step by step, questions can be more open. Encourage self-assessment after each unit can be done again with simple can-do statements. For example, Superminds 4, the recent unit, we studied words connected. We studied words about train station. We studied prepositions of time, and we studied past continuous with when. Yeah, the difference between past continuous and past simple. We had a song. We read a story about Ben and Lucy, and we did a CLIL lesson. So you have these like 5-6 things that you've studied. You can put them on a slide beforehand, or if you don't have time during the lesson, write them down quickly and ask students to reflect. I know the words, I remember grammar, I didn't understand CLIL lesson at all. I remember prepositions of time. Oh, something like this. They can just tick what they can do, what they cannot do still. How they feel. Yeah, no, it's important to get like their feedback for you as well. How they feel about this. Maybe you as a teacher, you see that they don't have any problems with prepositions of time. They can use them. That's okay. But they can feel differently about this. Ask students to evaluate their test performance. When I distribute tests, I ask students, what do you think about your result? Is it good or bad? And again, if you do it for the first time, I don't know, it's okay. Okay, good. But step by step, we ask them why. What do you think about your grammar part? How was it? What was the most difficult activity? Do you remember your previous test result? You had 70%, now you have 75%. What do you think? Why this test was easier, or why do you have better result this time? Sometimes students say quite interesting things, like last time I didn't review the words, this time I did. Last time I didn't understand the task, now I know what to do. Last time I was tired, this time I'm not tired, or vice versa. So try it from time to time, especially with less motivated students. It really helps to raise their awareness about their performance in class. this is the next thing is also quite a simple thing to do at your lesson. Provide a plan, then ask students to vote what was the most interesting. Just a simple plan. Okay, guys, today we're going to check homework, review words with flashcards, write a dictation, do the listening task, speaking test. And also you can assign a person who will tick things or who will cross them out when you've done it. Yeah. Okay, Vanya, today you will be responsible for our plan, or you'll have to tick and cross out. And then after, when the lesson is almost over, ask students to take a marker and draw a heart against the activity that they like the most. And it's a kind of a feedback for you again, and you will see like how students can reflect on what was happening. Sometimes they say, we wrote a dictation, I don't remember this. A listening task, I don't remember. And it's really like this. Sometimes they just don't remember what happened in the beginning. That's absolutely true. I saw it many times in my experience. And that's very interesting. Again, it's a food for thought. Okay, they most of the time they like speaking. Well, I'm talking about my students. It means that they feel relaxed at this moment. They don't have to think hard, and well, again, it's a feedback for you. What else? Exit tickets are harder to implement because you need more time for this. Plan is a time saver. Like if you want to get feedback and to reflect, if you want your students to reflect on what was happening, the plan is the better option. Exit tickets are harder to implement, but again, not every lesson. Maybe once in a month, you can try this tool too. Take just small stripes of paper and write on them this phrases starters, beginners. Today I learned, today I understood, I want to know more about. You can add something. Yeah. Today I liked, today I didn't enjoy. And when they leave the room, you ask them to take a stripe and finish a sentence, well, expressing their opinion, their thoughts. But again, it takes more time than voting against the plan. Okay, so here are the main things that I use in my lessons to like develop this habit of reflecting, of evaluating. Again, it's about more about young learners and early teens. With late teens and with more confident students, we can have like reflective journals. We can have more complex tools. But these are just simple things that can work in a young learner classroom. Colleagues, I would like to hear your comments on this blog. What do you use? Maybe some tools that I haven't listed here, or just some insights that you've got, some ideas.
Karina. I tried to implement a plan once with my SM1. And there were a few lessons that I really wrote to the plan, then put ticks. Then at the end, we together discussed what we have done, what was interesting. But it's really time consuming. Sometimes you just don't even have the time to do all the exercises, to say the feedback. And if you discuss the plan, again, it will just, you won't have enough time for other activities. So I just gave up Now we just have a feedback at the end. I ask what you liked, and that's it.
Well, yeah, sure, you can ask questions as long as you devote some time to developing reflective skills, because it has the same importance, the same way as language, I believe. Yelena?
Yeah, Karina, thank you, especially for the third block about reflecting. I usually don't have time for this, but I will implement on Monday, especially I like plan. Yeah.
Okay.
The fourth. And
great.
Thank you for like 3 before me. Yeah, I will use. Thanks a lot.
All right. Okay, Yelena, welcome. Anya, would you like to add?
Yes, I would like to add, for instance, about the plan. It wouldn't be as time-consuming, probably, if partners or franchisee have read my notes about grammar intensive classes. So there, in the annotation, I wrote about this plan, and it really helps and motivates students, and they do like when we follow the plan. Probably sometimes I cannot follow the strict plan, but I can shuffle, and then if we haven't completed everything, they say, okay, we haven't done this one. You see, next lesson we'll do this. And then kids are pretty highly motivated with this plan, and it helps especially in my grammar intensive classes, as students don't know each other really well, then at least they are acquainted with the circumstances, and it makes them a bit more comfortable. So that's they are at least sure in something, like they're at least comfortable with something. They can control this 90 minutes of the lesson. So that's the deal here.
I guess that means that it's much easier to do it with teenagers.
Oh no, this is, my kids are very mixed age and really mixed level. So I may have in one group a SM3 and think one teenager who is 14 and 10-year-old. So this I juggle with them, and so everything works pretty well. So probably yeah, but your oral reflection is also really valuable. I mean, they reflect. That's important. How you implement in your lesson?
Yeah. Again, it's better to know and be equipped with a range of tools, and then you can choose what suits best this or that group. There is no correct answers here.
Exit tickets, yes. Exit tickets. So this is something like our in Teenage learner notebook, this reflection, monthly reflection section, which we don't have in kids notebook. And it's pretty time consuming because kids need to be taught what they had been taught.
And we have it in Superminds 3 at the end of the book.
Yeah? At the end of the book?
Yes, there was a small like paragraph after each unit where you have to tick what you learned, what was
yeah, I actually I should look closer because I haven't noticed. So it's valuable. It's valuable. At first, probably several years ago, I didn't understand this, but then I started implementing it with my adult students, and they really appreciate. Oh, I can do it, and they did all these things. They say, okay, we covered the unit. Look, so you are so professional now. So they were beginners, and I had to encourage them and motivate them. And this reflection after units helped. Okay, thank you for telling me. I haven't noticed this.
Sometimes they just don't know how to say that. So they maybe somewhere in their mind, they understand that they don't know something, that they just don't know how to say that. Even in Russian, they don't know how to.
Yeah, it's hard to verbalize.
Yeah, the thing is that they just don't have enough language to express their thoughts, their opinions. With the lower levels, again, we will stick more to the questions or to voting, some easy ways. With higher levels, by higher levels here, I mean, in our context, we can say that Superminds 5 and Prepare 3, they're still A2 levels, but we can consider them as higher levels because they know quite a lot of language and they are used to they are used to being encouraged to express their thoughts and their ideas, and even when they start thinking about it in their heads, they try to find some words and they switch to Russian. That's absolutely normal. Here, your aim is not to provide speaking practice. It's to provide students with some reflection time. Yeah, but that's absolutely normal, I think.
It really helps when, in SM, we have at the end of each unit in workbook, we have those 4 pictures that you have to draw and write some sentences. So I usually give it for homework, but before I give it, we just reflect on what was studied in this unit so that they had some ideas what to draw. And at this point, you can just briefly speak about some grammar, some vocabulary, some reading and listening that might be interesting. Like, do you remember we listened to the song about some parrot? Did you like it? You can put a parrot here, or something like this. So just give them some ideas with easy words, maybe write it on the board, and then at home they have some kind of self-reflection. They know, they usually they draw something that they know, or what they have talked about with their parents, because sometimes moms help them to do this task.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. You can use this page as like a basis for reflecting on what was covered. Okay. Does anyone want to add something? Maybe some tools that I haven't mentioned. Okay, as I said in the beginning, these are tools that can be implemented in the beginning when we start developing learner autonomy. Of course, when we have more autonomous learners, it looks a bit different. Like you become really a guide and like a coach, yeah, language coach, not a language teacher, because students have all these tools, they have all this knowledge, and they are ready to take bigger steps, more responsibility for what they're doing. Yeah, with teenagers, you can also keep developing their autonomy by giving them online homework. I mean, not on LMS platform, but like surfing the internet and finding some information, listening to a song and bringing some language in classroom. These are very useful tools, but we can't expect our students to do this, yeah, to complete these tasks when they are not prepared. Yeah, so we have to prepare them in early age. And as a conclusion, I'd like to kind of share a personal story. You probably know that I have a 3-year-old son. He is 3.5 actually now, but well, doesn't matter. Well, and I think at some point you have to teach your child how to hold a spoon, how to put food in your mouth, right? And I think all mothers will agree and support me that you always like have this temptation to feed your child yourself, because the process of teaching eating with a spoon is quite messy and it takes a lot of time. Clothes become messy, you can be in a hurry, and your child just eats too slowly. So you always have this like temptation, yeah, as I said, to take the spoon yourself and feed your child with the spoon. Yeah, so revert to spoon feeding. But you, as a mother, you understand that if I keep spoon feeding my child, yeah, he'll never learn or she'll never learn. And I can't spoon feed them, yeah, when they're like 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, like this boy in the picture. That's why you fight this temptation, and you can even like put this in your timetable, in your schedule, allow this time for your child to eat themselves. So I really like this analogy because it illustrates what we do with our students, yeah, how we teach them, how we allow them to be more independent. So next week, let's say next week, when you teach your students, just be more reflective and stop and think, am I spoon feeding my students now or not? If yes, think about the ways that you can use to delegate this action to them. Just a metaphor for you to like set your mind to this. That's it. Just as at the end, I would like to ask you to write some reflection. Yeah, you can write it on the chat. You can use your voice, your microphone, to share your ideas. Some of you has already shared, right? Maybe anyone else. If you can't speak, that's absolutely normal. Just write it on the chat. Yeah, what would you use? Like Yelena, yeah, she highlighted 3 tools that she would implement. Okay, just take some time to write and fix your ideas here. I'll have a look.
Can I say, because I'm lazy
Yeah.
to write?
Yes,
Okay,
Elena, sure.
Actually, today's so-called lesson was very useful because I found some ways I liked the most about reflection and about so-called feedback, because I do it rarely because of lack of time. So now I think that it's a very useful thing, and your example with spoon feeding was really interesting, and I have just started to think about it. But yeah, this is what, how to compare. This is what we do sometimes. So that's why I will use this and think about what to do with it next time. So, and the all other two blocks were also very informative, very useful. Food for thought, actually. So thank you very much for this.
That's true. I mean, all these trends in education, they are interesting and they are not so easy to implement compared to a set of vocabulary games. You take them, you bring it to your lesson. You don't have to change the ways you teach a lot. Yeah, but becoming like more trendy teacher, more a teacher who is able to meet the needs of the students and meet the reality, it takes more time. That's why, yes, it's a food for thought, as we mentioned a couple of times, but step by step. Yeah, step by step, we can try and change the ways we approach lessons. Thank you, Elena, for sharing. I can see that colleagues sharing their thoughts. Thank you very much. Try to include more feedback. Collecting students' feedback, putting hearts. By the way, I forgot to mention that you can ask to put to draw hearts, and you can also ask to draw dislikes, or something like a cross, maybe what they didn't like to. Peer checking, role of students, they show themselves from. Okay, Anastasia, thank you. Okay, Tamara, great, thank you. All right, I can see, that you have some takeaways from the session, and I'm really grateful for your active participation. And I wish you good autonomous learners.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you. Bye
Thank you. Thank you, Karina. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.